Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. I am Megan Hardy. I'm the founder of Fitness Uncharted, and this is the place where we talk about mindset and strategies that are going to help you to build muscle, lose body fat, improve your metabolism, and leave you feeling really freaking confident and empowered. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and welcome back, you guys, to this episode 20. Also, if you hear anything in the background, like sounding like scraping or scratching or like crazy dogs, it is crazy dogs. I am actually watching my sister's dog along with Oreo, my fur baby, and they do not know how to play without like, like growling and scratching and just like they get crazy. Anyway, if you hear stuff, it's them, it's not me. But anyway, today we are talking about how to deal with unsupportive people on your fitness journey. This is a topic I want to cover because I think most all of us have dealt with it, probably. I know I have plenty along my fitness journey. And thankfully, today it's a lot better than it used to be as far as the support that I have and that I've kind of created for myself. But we'll get into that. But I know a lot of us deal with whether it's an unsupportive partner or spouse, or it's a family member or a friend. It's usually those people closest to us too, which makes it hurt worse and makes it a lot harder to stick to our health and fitness goals. I would dare say there's probably not many people who haven't experienced this or experienced an unsupportive person on their journey. So I think this probably applies to a lot of us. And I would dare say some people listening to this have even given up on some of their goals because of the lack of support and because of some of the criticism and the derogatory comments and things like that that they've received. It can be really hard to stick with things. So I want to give you guys some just advice, some love, and some tips on how I have handled unsupportive people on my journey and how I kind of coach my clients through that too. So first and foremost, you have to know who you are and you have to know what your goals are. And it has to be really, really important to you. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to go, okay, are my goals, are they actually a priority and are they that important to me? And how specific can you be about them? Are they worth you going to bat for these goals? Like you have to stick up for yourself and your goals and not let others' opinions affect that. And it's easier said than done, right? To not let other people's opinions affect it. But if you can, in your heart of hearts, go like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know this fitness journey or fill in the blank, whatever it is that is going to enrich my life. And this is the direction I want to go in. And I know in my heart of hearts, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing what's best for me. And by doing what's best for me, I'm doing what's best actually for those around me, for my kids behind me, all of that. If you know that, then you have to kind of get those duck feathers, right? Like the analogy of having duck feathers where the rain just rolls off of your back, right? Those comments kind of can roll off and other people's opinions don't affect your actions at the end of the day. And I want to give an example real quick of how I've kind of become this person that a lot of people know to be the person who sets boundaries and doesn't let other people's opinions sway what my actions are going to be or what I'm going to do. One example of this is my sister, actually, shout out Melissa. She called me to actually talk her down. This was several months back, but she called me to talk her down from a people pleasing situation. She's admittedly a recovering people pleaser. And someone had called her like in a rage about something that blaming her for something that really truly wasn't her fault at all. But because she's a people pleaser, she was very tempted to take on that blame as if it was her fault because that's just what she's always done. She's a people pleaser. And then she's like, oh my gosh, wait, am I at fault? Like, maybe I did do something wrong, and almost gets convinced that she has when she hasn't. Right. And she called me because she's like, Megan, this was the situation. I know you have tight boundaries around what opinions you'll take to heart. Like, I know you have tight boundaries around, not taking on other people's blame or opinions or criticism and things like that. I need you to like coach me through that right now because, she was like, I need to like embrace some of that energy or that vibe. Right. Because she was like, I know I'm not at fault in this. And I was like, yeah. But of course I just went to bat for her. I was like, no, 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 no. you are not to blame for any of this, but like, do not take that on yourself. You can respond to this person in love and in grace. And, you don't have to add fuel to the fire, the flame of the situation, but you do not have to take this upon yourself. This is not your issue. This is a them issue thing. So anyway, that to say, if I know in my heart of hearts, and this is something I just kind of learned over time, but I also think I was born with kind of this character trait of like, if I know in my heart of hearts that I'm doing the right thing and I didn't do anything wrong, like I will brush things off, like other people's comments. Yes, I'm not, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Words do hurt me. I'm not going to lie. Like people are mean, like in social media. Oh my gosh, social media is toxic, man. Especially with putting out content, whatnot. I mean, people's comments hurt. They do hurt me. But you know what? I brush it off because I'm like, I'm solid. I know who I am. I know what my goals are. I know what I'm about. And so I do try to brush it off. I'm like, ouch, that stung. But, if I can just think at the end of the day, that has more to say about them than it has anything to say about me. They don't even know me. They don't know me as well as I know myself. And so if you can think when people are making comments about you or giving you their criticism or opinions, whether it's your fitness journey or something else, they are projecting onto you their own disbeliefs and their own insecurities. They are projecting onto you things that they are insecure about or things that they do not believe they can do or can be true for them. And they're kind of trying to bring you down a notch to their level. They're projecting those disbeliefs onto you. And for instance, another example is when people make comments like, I used to get this all the time. I still get this sometimes. Like, oh, I know you don't like, you wouldn't eat this, like X, Y, or Z, fill in the blank. I know you wouldn't eat pizza. I know you must never eat ice cream, etc. And I'm like, did I say that? Or is that just your own disbelief that you can actually be healthy and fit and enjoy fun foods? Because, I am in decent shape. I'm pretty fit. And that is really their own disbelief because they've never experienced being able to do both. They've never experienced being able to eat some pizza and ice cream in moderation and having the fitness level or the health that they want. And that's something that I have experienced. So I know it can be true. And I know that at the end of the day, they're just projecting onto me that they think it's not possible for me to be fit or healthy and to also enjoy ice cream. But it's totally possible. So that's another just example of like when people say things like that, they're projecting onto you their own past failures or insecurities. Like when someone dogs you for whatever diet or weight loss or fitness thing you're striving for, it's because they failed in the past. And if you can look at it through that lens, one, you can grow the duck feathers and let it roll off your skin because you're like, that's really not a representation of me. That's a projection of you that you're trying to project onto me. And then also it can give you so much grace for that person too. Like I will tell you on social media, man, people are mean, mean, mean in the comments. And if I can look at it through a lens of they are talking out of their own hurt or their own disbeliefs, I don't have to take that upon me as a reflection of me because I can be sure in who I am. And I can actually see them with more grace because I'm like, they're talking out of their own insecurity right now. And it's really helpful in that sense. But some other examples too, like I'm sure a lot of you moms out there have heard this or even maybe said it yourself, and no shame or judgment if you have said this to other moms or soon to be moms, but the saying like, oh, you just wait until you have kids, you won't have that body anymore. Once you have kids, it's all downhill from there. They totally change your body. And yes, while some of that is true, kids do totally change your body. Like your body actually shifts and adjusts because you have a baby coming through. But I know so many moms who have gotten their body back after and even gotten in better shape after kids that I know that is not a truth. That is not a truth for everyone, right? But the people who are saying that, who are saying, oh, you just wait until you have kids, like it all just sags from there and goes downhill from there. That's because that was their experience. And that's what they feel about their bodies. And that's the place that they're in. So they're projecting that onto you, right? Or another example too, not so much in the physical fitness realm, but think of any example of someone who is criticizing or being critical or dogging someone. If you can think about it like, I wonder why they're saying this. What insecurity do they have that makes them have this negative opinion or approach that they're sharing with me? Literally, anytime you get a negative comment, look at it through the lens of like, I wonder what they went through or what experience they had to make them say that to me. Another one, I was actually having this conversation with another couple friend of Justin and mine. And the guy was like, yeah, actually, that's a really good point. He was like, my dad always says stuff to us because they have two kids of their own. This couple friend of ours, they have two like younger kids, like 6 years old and 8 years old. And they're like, they have great relationships with their kids right now, but his dad, my couple friend's dad, his dad was like, oh, you just wait until your kids are teenagers. You won't have such a good relationship with them anymore. You just wait until they become teenagers. And he was like, I realized that I'm like, no, that's because you didn't have a good relationship with us when we became teenagers. And he was like, that's because you don't really like kids. And so you didn't have a good relationship with us. He was like, but that's not going to be the case for me and my kids. He was trying to project his own experience with his own kids onto his son and grandkids, right? And what the experience was going to be. But that's not truth. It's not a truth. And that's where we cannot absorb people's opinions as truths. People often talk out of pain and past experience. So like when you can recognize that, it doesn't mean that the comments don't kind of sting or hurt, but it can give you so much more grace for yourself and grace for the person who's saying some of those things. And it can help you have those duck feathers and let it roll off of your skin some, right? So with my own fitness journey, like talking about, some of the comments that I got early on, they used to be worse earlier on in my journey, because especially when I think people when they don't know that you're going to stick with something, they almost are even that much more forceful, or maybe the comments just feel that much more forceful at like trying to sabotage your journey. I think it might be a combination. Maybe they're like, oh, she's not strong enough to actually like stick to this, especially if I'm tempting her with a good time, like with some extra ice cream or whatever, like, come on, come be fun, those kind of comments that you get. And also when you're newer in your journey, it hasn't become as much of an identity for you yet. So it is harder to stick to some of your health ambitions and goals. And so the comments in my journey were worse earlier on, probably for a combination of those two things. But now I get them less and less. I get comments or like critical comments from like closer friends or family less and less from those closest to me, because I think they've finally accepted that this is my lifestyle. And what they say is not going to affect what I do. This is who I am. And they know that. And they know that I'm probably going to work out Christmas morning because I want to. I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to get up a little earlier so that I don't mess up family plans, but I'm going to work out Christmas morning, and you can judge me for it. I do not care. That they know that that's what I'm going to do. And guess what? If anything, now everyone's supportive of it. It's like, hey, let's do breakfast at what time? Okay. Because you're going to work out in the morning, right? Oh, okay. And people now know that's who I am. That's what I do. And a lot of times with food, the peer pressure of food of like, oh, you can have more. That's why you work out. Just have a little bit more. Like, just enjoy yourself. Those kind of things. All of that has gotten less and less as I've proven to myself and proven to other people that if I say no, I don't want another slice or a serving, they take it like, no, I don't want another slice or another serving. I really don't get as much pushback anymore, but I used to, or I used to take it to heart more. So just know that, especially as you are proving to yourself and building that self-respect that this is who I am and this is what I'm going to stick to, other people will come around to accept that. Those people who are closest to you and see you often, they will finally accept and realize she's not coming off of this thing. Like, she is going to do what she says she's going to do. And then you actually will probably end up at the end of the day, you guys, influencing those people to be more like you, which is the coolest thing. I can't tell you how cool it is when now, like, some of my family or closer friends, like, things that we do together is now when we get together, we go on walks or we try to find like cool, yummy, healthier recipes and things like that. Like, you will influence them and you will flip the script. It just might take some time. But even if that doesn't happen, maybe your family is stuck in their ways or whatever, maybe that's not going to happen. Let's say that doesn't, but you will probably get them to a point where they do accept the fact that this is what you're doing and they're not going to be able to rock the boat enough to flip you out of it. Okay. So another tidbit of advice for you too is don't take advice from people who haven't done the journey, right? Don't take advice from people who haven't walked the walk or talked the talk. Just like you wouldn't take a marriage advice from someone who has like 5 failed marriages, why would you take advice from someone who has failed their fitness journey 5 times and is now bitter about it? Why would you take advice from that person, or take advice from the person who's afraid to even try? They're so afraid of failure, they won't even try to start a fitness journey because they've seen people in their family fail. All of their experiences with friends or family members is failure. Everyone, our like innate fear as humans is failure. Like sometimes the pain of change is not greater than the pain of perceived failure that could happen. And so people don't change. But why would you take advice from someone who hasn't even tried or isn't doing anything on their fitness journey or has failed many times at their fitness journey, and they're trying to give you advice on health or fitness? Just like the marriage situation, you wouldn't take advice from the person with the 5 failed marriages, right? Maybe on what not to do. But let's just say you would go to the person who has the really healthy, solid marriage, that person that's been married 30 years and has gone through it. Not that they haven't struggled, right? Like they've probably had struggles, but they've worked through it and they've come out on the other side of things, and they can walk you through those steps too, right? What's fascinating is that people who have been successful would never criticize you on your journey. So what's so interesting is when people like go to a gym, a lot of times women are more uncomfortable or nervous at first at going into the gym, especially into the strength training area or weight room. And what's funny is those are some of the most supportive people in there. I mean, yes, you'll get the like crappy gyms that where you just have a bunch of douchebags and it's like, okay, like you do have those one-offs, but for the most part, the people who are in there grinding and doing it day in and day out, and especially the people who look really fit, they are going to be your biggest cheerleaders. That's because they know what it takes. They've been there, they've done it, and they will be the last people to criticize you on your journey. They are the most understanding and most supportive people that you will probably find because they've been there and they've done it. So instead of, taking advice from the person who hasn't made it happen, look to those people who have, and also even just recognize that, like go like, huh, yeah, that's right. I never get criticized on my fitness by a person who's more fit than me, right? I guarantee you've never been criticized by someone on like your lack of fitness or like your efforts at trying to get fit or healthier by a person who is perceived to be more fit or healthy than you, right? It doesn't happen because they're going to be rooting for you and cheering you on. They're not projecting their own disbelief that you won't be able to do it or that they can't do it onto you, right? So all that to say, I'm kind of rambling, but all that to say today, you guys, if I could leave you with just like some tips today, it would be this. Number 1 is to know your why. And before you go like rolling your eyes, I know it seems really superficial, and it is. Okay. Knowing your why and figuring out what your why is superficial until you ask yourself why 5 times. Okay. So like the first answer will always seem superficial. So you have to get to the deeper motivation, right? So if you're the woman that's going like, I get on calls with women all the time, right? And they might tell me, yeah, I want to lose 15 to 20 pounds. And I'm like, okay, awesome. That's an amazing goal. I love that you want to lose 15 to 20 pounds. And I love that you want to do it in a really healthy and sustainable way. Why do you want to lose 15 to 20 pounds? And they're like, oh, well, like confidence. Like I do want to feel better in my skin, I think. And I'm like, okay, why? Like, why is confidence really that important to you? Or like, why is feeling better in your skin really that important? And they might kind of go like sideways at first, like, well, I mean, I want to fit in my clothes again and I don't want to have to buy new clothes. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. You could save some money on not having to buy a whole new wardrobe. Like I'm there with you. I hear you. I hear you. I'm like, but why? Why is it important for you to feel confident? And then we start actually peeling back the onion and the layers. And they're like, I want to feel, they're like, this is kind of TMI, but like, I want to feel like sexy with my husband again. Like our intimacy has suffered. Like I just don't even enjoy sex hardly anymore. Like I want to feel good and confident in my skin. I want to have a better marriage. And I want to, gosh, I'm making myself a little emotional right now talking about this because I do actually get on these conversations with women oftentimes, and a lot of them are struggling. A lot of you guys, like with these things, these really deep things. And they're like, or maybe it's like their why is like, I want to feel confident and healthy in my skin because I want to be a good role model to my kids. And right now I'm not, because I'm just always, in a bad mood, or I'm always like being critical of my body and I don't want my kids to see that. Like find that why, you guys. And you have to go deeper than that superficial layer. And that you have to know that, because that's going to help when people are giving you that, criticism or being unsupportive. If your why is that important to you, you will fight for it. No matter what other people are saying, you have got to get deep on that. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to set healthy boundaries, especially with those closest to you. If you know in your heart you are doing the right thing, do not let someone else's opinion sabotage you or your actions. Like the example I gave at the beginning with my sister, she came to me knowing, like, Megan, I know you tells it like you sees it and you like set them boundaries with people. So like help, right? But like, especially with those people closest to you, it is so critical that they know where you are at, what you are fighting for or choosing to fight for. Like if your health and fitness journey is important to you and you know that your spouse or say a family member is not supportive, you might actually need to have a sit down conversation with them and say, hey, mom, or whoever, I know food is your love language. I know you love cooking for us, but I'm really trying to work on my health and fitness. And I do plan on enjoying some of the fun food and treats. But if I say no, I really need you to respect my decision in saying no to something. And I would really appreciate it if you don't, make it a big deal in front of the rest of the family, etc. Like that's just an example. I won't go further into that, but you might need to set those healthy boundaries, or looking at it from a positive light, being like, hey, mom, this is what I'm trying to do. I would really love your support with this. And it would be really helpful. And like, maybe I can even help out with, cooking for XYZ holiday. I'll bring a dish, and I'll share it. But just setting those boundaries with people, making them aware of what you're working towards, and that way they actually have a chance to be supportive for you and with you. So set those healthy boundaries. Number 3 is don't let others project onto you something that they couldn't accomplish for themselves, or something they just haven't yet accomplished for themselves. They probably can, right? We all can do a lot more than we think we can, but they don't know they can do that yet. So they might be projecting onto you. And misery loves company, right? We know that. People will try to bring you back down to their level. And once you recognize that, it becomes much easier to understand that their critical comments are just a reflection of themselves. When you realize that their projection onto you is really them being critical of themselves and them kind of trying to bring you back down to your level. Once you recognize that, you can rise above that, and you don't have to take that to heart. So don't let those projections from other people be something that you take to heart yourself. Number 4 is don't take advice from people who haven't walked the walk and talked the talk. Okay. We already covered this one, so I won't get into it again, but seek advice from people who are 2 steps ahead of you. They will be the most supportive. They will be your biggest cheerleaders. And the last tip is to surround yourself with a community of like-minded people. It is so important. Friends, find friends that are like-minded in what you're trying to achieve. Groups, mentors, coaches. Pay for it if you have to, you guys, or find those communities, find free communities, but find those people, like your tribe of people who are going to help you rise to be better. This is like probably one of this, like the sole things that will skyrocket your results is when you surround yourself with people that are like-minded and going where you want to go instead of trying to do this whole thing on your own by yourself. Or worst case scenario, you're trying to do this whole like fitness thing with people who are unsupportive, right? That's even worse than trying to do it by yourself. But when you feel like you're alone on an island, or you're just surrounded by people who are moving in the opposite direction that you want to move in, it makes it so hard to stick to your fitness goals. So speaking of which, community and free communities, if you haven't already joined my free women's fitness group on Facebook, go do that now. Okay. We do weekly live trainings. We give away a ton of free resources in there. And we even sometimes give away free one-on-one coaching. So be looking out for that. We actually just finished a 21-day challenge that was also free. So we do a lot of fun stuff in there. And it's just an awesome community of other women who are also on their journeys too, who are trying to get fit and healthy, the healthy and sustainable way, right? So talk about joining a community, being a part of something where people are moving in the same direction that you want to move in, right? So if you're not already in the group, go join it, go be a part of that. The link is in the show notes if you need that. And until next time, you guys, I hope this was helpful and encouraging for you. I want you to know that I am here for you. I am supporting you and I am rooting you on. I will be your biggest cheerleader all day. If we haven't actually met, feel free to shoot me a DM on social media. I do check those personally and we'll get back to you, because I want you to know that you are awesome and you are supported, okay, on this journey. You are not alone. So until next time, you guys, I will catch you on the next episode.